Tonight, we begin a quiet journey into a world that existed long before humans walked the earth, a forgotten age where giants ruled the land, the sea, and even the sky. This was a time when the ground trembled under the feet of towering reptiles, and the oceans hid predators so massive that no creature today can compare. It was an era of mystery, power, and ancient life, waiting to be rediscovered by those who dare to wander back in time through imagination. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and let your thoughts drift with the gentle rhythm of this tale. In this story, we will step into the age of giants, an age when enormous dinosaurs roamed thick forests, winged reptiles soared across endless skies, and monstrous sea creatures glided through dark and ancient oceans. Their world was alive with sound, movement, and wonder. It was a world shaped by fire, storm, and survival. A world where every sunrise held a new challenge, and every sunset cast shadows over a kingdom ruled not by kings, but by creatures of scale and bone. And as we travel back to this distant age together, feel free to let your mind relax, your body grow heavy, and your eyelids fall. This is not just a history lesson, it's a soothing story meant to guide you gently into rest, while your imagination walks among giants long gone. Before we begin, if you enjoy calming journeys through time like this one, I would be grateful if you gently tapped the like button, subscribed for more sleepy stories, and maybe even shared this with someone who needs a quiet escape tonight. Now, let us begin our walk through the ancient world. What if I told you there was a time when even the air was thicker, the forest stranger, and the sky was ruled by creatures no human eye has ever seen? A time when the world was almost unrecognizable, where every mountain, every tree, and every sunrise belonged to beings we can only imagine, through fossils buried in silent stone and forgotten earth. Close your eyes, dear listener, and picture this moment. You are standing at the very edge of time itself. This is not the world you know. The land beneath your feet is still forming, mountains still rising, oceans still shifting and boiling under strange skies. There are no cities, no people, not even the sound of birdsong. The earth is quiet, raw, alive in a different way. Yet deep beneath this silence, something is preparing to awaken. A new era is about to begin. Millions of years before dinosaurs would roam and roar across the continents, the earth was a quiet cradle. It held its breath in anticipation, cooling from fiery chaos, shaping weather patterns, forming rivers, and giving space for small, timid creatures to exist. But evolution does not sleep, and neither does time. Life was changing, growing, rising. In this chapter, we step gently into the Triassic period, the gateway to an age unlike any other, the Age of Giants. It is a time of incredible transformation. The supercontinent Pangaea covers almost the entire world, stretched wide like a great, cracked puzzle piece. The climate is mostly hot and dry, with vast deserts crossing massive landscapes, and the oceans are filled with life that looks both familiar and alien. Lizards dart across dusty rocks, ancient insects buzz in warm winds. Tiny creatures live, struggle, and evolve in silence, unaware of the colossal rulers that will soon steal the sky. Here, in this quiet world, the first ancestors of dinosaurs are born. They are small, fragile, and fast. No one looking at them would guess they were the first whispers of something massive, something that would one day shake the earth as they walked. Yet here they are, early reptiles, adapting, surviving, waiting for their moment. Evolution begins its careful work. The earth, still marked by volcanic fire, was breathing in new life. The ancient air was heavy with moisture and heat, but not for long. The world was changing, reshaping, preparing the perfect stage for giants to come. The ecosystems around these early species were fragile and often dangerous. Predators lurked in every corner. Shade and shelter were scarce. Survival meant speed, instinct, and the courage to face the unknown. And so the clock began to turn. Slowly, quietly, each generation became a little bigger, a little stronger, a little more suited to the land that would soon belong to them. They had no idea what they were becoming, but time did, and the planet was waiting. Tonight, we walk this path of transformation. We listen to the wind of ancient time and feel the pulse of life slowly growing from the ashes of Earth's beginning. We stand at the beginning of the Age of Giants, in a world still young, still dangerous, and still full of promise. A world about to be shaken by creatures taller than trees, heavier than cars, and stranger than anything we've ever known. So let this scene settle in your mind. The Earth is quiet, but changing. The sun rises and falls over barren red rock and fertile green swamps. Something in the air feels new, a tension, a building energy, like the world itself is holding its breath. Dinosaurs are coming, but for now, they sleep as shadows in the dust, waiting for their time. Breathe slowly now, and imagine the world around you shifting, growing, evolving. Let the peace of this forgotten world help you drift a little deeper into rest. The journey has only just begun, and there are many wonders yet to see. When you are ready, we shall walk onward, into the age when the first giants awaken. Imagine being the first creature to walk a world no one had ever walked before. Imagine being small, fragile, and alone on a land so young that even the mountains did not yet have names, and the rivers had not yet carved their full paths into the stone. This was the world of the early dinosaurs, shy but fierce survivors, on a planet still shaping itself. They were not yet the giants of legend, not yet the thunderous rulers of a prehistoric kingdom, but they were coming, and with every step, the Earth itself began to change. It is now the late Triassic period, roughly 230 million years ago. Most of the life forms were small, quick, and silent. The land was still dominated by reptiles and amphibians far different from the creatures we know today. Crocodile-like predators hunted the shallows of ancient rivers. Giant salamanders peeked above murky waters. Insects crawled and buzzed in thick, humid air. Strange armored beings wandered across low marshes, dusty plains, and forested riverbeds. But among this mix of ancient animals, something new was stirring. The very first dinosaurs were not the massive giants we imagine today. They were small, some no bigger than a dog, others the size of a horse. Fast, alert, and sharp-eyed, these early dinosaurs were just beginning to explore their existence in this changing world. Their legs were placed directly under their bodies, unlike the sprawling reptiles before them, which made them fast and agile. Their bodies were built for survival in a place where every day was a test, and every moment was filled with either danger or opportunity. These early dinosaurs were scavengers, hunters, opportunists. They fed on insects, small reptiles, eggs, and sometimes even the remains left behind by other animals. They did not rule their world, not yet. In fact, many creatures around them were much larger and far more dangerous. Early crocodile ancestors, known as phytosaurs, ruled the waters with jaws filled with razor-sharp teeth. Massive land reptiles called rauisuchians stalked the plains, with powerful legs and crushing jaws. The dinosaurs had to stay quiet, move fast, and adapt or perish. But nature was whispering something different into their bones. Strength would come in time. Size would come in time. For now, these early dinosaurs grew more flexible, more resilient, more prepared than any other creature around them. Slowly but surely, they were learning not just how to survive, but how to thrive. And as they evolved, they began to move out of the shadows of larger hunters into the open spaces of a world still changing. Picture one of the earliest known dinosaurs, Eoraptor. Small, quick, and delicate, Eoraptor walked on two legs, with sharp teeth and eyes that seemed to search every corner for the chance to survive one more day. Or imagine Herrerasaurus, one of the earliest meat-eating dinosaurs who sprinted across the land with a long tail for balance, claws ready, and a mind focused entirely on the hunt. These creatures were not just animals. They were the first hints of something grand, of a future painted in enormous bones and unforgettable shapes. But life during the Triassic was unstable. Volcanoes cracked open the earth, sending ash and heat into the sky. Floods drowned whole valleys. Storms washed ancient forests away. And every time the world changed, only the most adaptable survived. The dinosaurs were among them. Something in their design, something in their blood, allowed them not just to endure these changes, but to grow stronger from them. And slowly, silently, the balance began to shift. Those huge, slow-moving reptiles that once claimed the land began to fade away. The earth warmed, the forests grew, and new plants spread across the ground. Insects multiplied, the air thickened with life, and the dinosaurs came forward, step by step, into the light. Soon they would grow taller, heavier, stronger than anything that walked before them. Soon they would claim the land, the skies, and the seas. Soon, the age of giants would truly begin. But here, in this quiet turning point, we find the dinosaurs not as rulers, not as legends, but merely as survivors, learning, changing, preparing for the world they were destined to reshape. Take a deep breath, dear listener, and imagine the sound of their footsteps, barely heard in the ancient dust. These were the first echoes of thunder, the small beginnings of the greatest rain the earth has ever seen. And our journey with them has only just begun. What if the world you knew suddenly grew taller, wetter, wilder, and greener than anything you had ever seen before? What if the land shook under the footsteps of creatures so large they could level forests by merely turning their heads? That is exactly what happened at the dawn of the Jurassic period, a time when the true giants of the dinosaur kingdom finally claimed the Earth as their own. The Earth has shifted again. The Triassic period, with its dry deserts and scattered forests, has ended. A wave of life has swept across the planet. Rain falls more often now, and ancient droughts have softened into rolling, fertile landscapes. Forests fill the land with towering ferns and tall coniferous trees. Rivers and wetlands stretch and pulse with life. This is a world blooming with rich plant life, the perfect stage for giants to rise. The Jurassic period begins roughly 201 million years ago, and the dinosaurs are no longer tiny shadows in the underbrush. They have evolved, grown, stood taller. The creatures that once raced through the dust have now become so large they can see above the treetops. Their necks stretch like living towers, eating leaves that no other animal can reach. And when they move, the earth trembles beneath them. These creatures are known as sauropods, some of the largest animals that ever lived. Imagine a body as long as a city bus, a neck stretching skyward, and a tail swinging behind like a living whip for balance. Sauropods, such as Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, and Apatosaurus, began to roam across river valleys and warm forests, feeding all day, every day, because their enormous bodies required more food than the land could easily provide. Their small heads plucked leaves from the tallest branches, consuming whole trees worth of vegetation just to survive. A fully grown Brachiosaurus could weigh as much as 10 elephants, yet it walked with remarkable grace. Its heart had to pump blood straight up its neck, nearly 20 feet in the air, just to reach its brain. Its bones were hollow and filled with air sacs, making its massive size possible without crushing its own frame. These creatures were gentle giants, eating slowly, moving slowly, surviving through sheer size and strength, as no predator dared attack them at full adulthood. But where there were giants, there were also hunters. As the sauropods grew larger, so did their predators. This age also gave rise to massive carnivorous dinosaurs like Allosaurus, the top hunter of its time. Allosaurus had sharp, curved teeth, strong jaws, and powerful legs that allowed it to sprint across open plains in pursuit of prey. Unlike the later Tyrannosaurus rex, Allosaurus had 3 sharp claws on each hand and hunted in packs, coordinating attacks on large prey like a team of wolves. Even a sauropod could fall if the pack was fast, hungry, and willing to risk everything for a meal. The landscape of the Jurassic was filled with sounds most of us can hardly imagine. The calls of young sauropods echoing in deep valleys, the roar of a carnivore tearing through a forest, the rustle of ferns as herds migrated from one riverbank to the next. Insects buzzed in thicker air, thunder rumbled through distant volcanoes, Life was exploding with color, sound, and size. Dinosaurs were no longer struggling for survival. They had conquered the land. They were the rulers of every continent, in every form and size. Long-necked giants walked the earth. Fast, feathered hunters stalked the grasslands. Even the skies were no longer empty. Pterosaurs, some with wingspans wider than a car, soared in the air, gliding from thermal to thermal with silent mastery. And yet, the dinosaurs did not know they were living in their golden age. They did not know their reign would stretch over 150 million years, longer than any mammals or humans would ever rule. They simply lived, ate, protected their young, migrated in herds, defended their territory. In the deep rhythm of time, they simply existed. Let your imagination stretch with them. Picture the Earth not as concrete, roads and lights, but as endless forests stretching to the horizon. Picture the sky darkened not by clouds or airplanes, but by the wings of flying reptiles. Picture the ground shaking not by machines, but by the steps of a creature longer than a house. This is not fantasy. This was the world of the Jurassic, and as night gently falls in that ancient world, the giants lie down in warm valleys, gathering strength for another day. The hunters rest in the shadows, waiting for their moment. The trees sway in the wind, their leaves rustling like soft whispers. And somewhere, unnoticed, tiny mammals scurry in the dark, hiding from giants, destined to inherit a world they cannot yet imagine. Take a deep breath, dear listener, and allow the size, the power, and the ancient calm of this world to settle around you. Let the slow movements of the dinosaurs help you drift into a deeper peace. The night is long, the past is wide, and the story is far from over. Imagine looking up at the sky and seeing creatures so vast that their wings cast shadows over the land below. Imagine glancing into the ocean and witnessing predators so enormous that even the largest fish seem tiny in comparison. By the middle of the Jurassic, the age of giants had expanded beyond the forests and plains. The land was no longer the only domain of dinosaurs. The sky and the seas were now ruled by rulers of their own, kings whose domains stretched from horizon to horizon. The skies were alive with the first true masters of flight, pterosaurs. Some had wingspans wider than a small airplane. Their bodies were light, their bones hollow, their movements precise. Imagine Quetzalcoatlus gliding effortlessly above forests, its long head and beak searching for fish, eggs, or small creatures scurrying below. Some pterosaurs hunted alone, others in small groups, navigating air currents with uncanny skill, swooping and diving like living shadows against the sun. Their presence changed the very rhythm of the world below, adding new dangers and new opportunities to the life on land. In the oceans, another drama unfolded. Plesiosaurs, long-necked marine reptiles, cut through the water with elegance and power. Their long necks allowed them to snatch fish from surprising angles, and their broad flippers propelled them silently through ancient seas. Imagine Elasmosaurus, a predator whose neck alone stretched longer than a grown man, moving in eerie, hypnotic grace under the waves. Mosasaurs emerged later, powerful lizards that ruled the oceans with speed and strength, hunting in a world that was as dangerous as it was vast. These marine giants were unmatched predators, shaping the behavior of every fish, squid, and smaller reptile around them. Meanwhile, the land continued to grow in grandeur. Forests thickened, rivers swelled, and wetlands expanded. Trees reached unprecedented heights, providing shelter for countless creatures, while ferns and cycads carpeted the forest floor. The Jurassic landscape was no longer just a stage for land-based dinosaurs. It had become an interconnected kingdom where air, land, and water merged into one living system. Every movement, every interaction, contributed to the complex web of survival. Predators adapted as well. Large theropods patrolled riverbanks, stalking prey with sharp claws and keen eyes. Some specialized in ambush hunting, lying in wait beneath overhanging vegetation, while others used speed and coordination to chase their quarry across open plains. Allosaurus, Megalosaurus, and other formidable hunters grew in size and skill, always learning, always adjusting to the presence of other giants, whether on land, in the water, or in the air. Life was a constant test, and the fittest survived, shaping the world in their image. The oceans teemed with diversity. Giant fish, ammonites with coiled shells, and early sharks navigated the waters alongside marine reptiles. Coral reefs and underwater forests provided shelter, but also danger. In this realm, every movement had consequences. A single misstep could lead to being snatched by a faster predator or crushed under a sudden attack. Yet, life thrived. It adapted. It evolved. It flourished in unimaginable ways, painting a picture of a world alive in every dimension. The skies and seas were not merely extensions of the land. They were kingdoms unto themselves. Pterosaurs could scout miles of territory, see potential meals, and avoid dangers that lurked in the forests below. Marine reptiles dominated their domains with skill unmatched by terrestrial predators. Even the land's giants felt the presence of these rulers. A river crossing, for example, was no simple task. It required awareness of lurking plesiosaurs below, flying pterosaurs above, and lurking theropods nearby. The world had become multidimensional, layered with life in ways humans could hardly imagine. And yet the story was not static. Evolution never stops. Pterosaurs began to specialize in fishing, hunting, and even scavenging. Marine reptiles diversified into long-necked hunters, massive apex predators, and smaller, agile fishers. Every niche was filled, every opportunity exploited. The Jurassic seas and skies had become arenas of ingenuity, survival, and spectacular adaptation. These creatures were not mere shadows of the future. They were masterpieces of design, each form perfectly suited to its environment. As night fell in the ancient Jurassic, imagine the oceans glowing faintly with bioluminescent life, waves lapping silently against rocky shores. Pterosaurs rested on cliffs, folding their enormous wings, eyes scanning the horizon. Marine reptiles drifted slowly beneath moonlit waters, hunting or simply floating in the gentle currents. On land, the dinosaurs, from towering sauropods to smaller, agile hunters, settled into quiet spaces, preparing for the next day. The world had grown vast and complex, yet each creature knew its place in the balance of survival. Take a deep breath and allow this ancient world to unfold in your mind. Picture the enormous wings cutting the sky, the silent glide of predators in the water, the steady pace of giants on land. Hear the rustle of ferns, the splash of water, the faint cries of creatures communicating across vast distances. Let the interconnectedness of this vast living world guide your imagination gently as we prepare to move further into the age of giants. The land, the sky, and the sea are alive with stories yet to be told, and the journey is far from over. A world where the land is greener, forests stretch endlessly, and new creatures begin to emerge with remarkable diversity. The Jurassic giants have walked these lands for millions of years, and now the Earth is preparing for another transformation. This is the dawn of the Cretaceous period, a time when dinosaurs would reach their greatest diversity, and when the Earth itself would change in ways that would shape life forever. Step quietly into this ancient world, dear listener, and allow yourself to drift into a realm of towering forests, shimmering waters, and creatures so vast and strange that even the wildest human imagination could scarcely contain them. The continents have begun to drift apart, reshaping oceans and climates. Rivers snake across fertile plains, feeding wetlands filled with ferns, cycads, and newly blossoming flowers. This is the first time that flowering plants begin to appear, casting a delicate fragrance across the air, offering new food sources and shelter for insects and small creatures. The forests are alive with buzzing, chirping, and rustling as tiny mammals scurry below the feet of enormous giants. Insects have adapted to this new vegetation, their wings catching sunlight as they dart among blossoms and fronds. Life pulses everywhere, thick and abundant, forming a stage for the giants to play their part. On land, dinosaurs have diversified more than ever before. Herbivores such as Triceratops, Ankylosaurus, and Hadrosaurus graze in vast herds, their bodies armored or equipped with horns to protect against increasingly clever predators. Imagine a herd of triceratops moving slowly through the forest, their large frills swaying with each step, alert eyes scanning for danger. Every leaf they eat, every branch they knock aside, changes the forest around them. They are architects of their environment, shaping the plants and the land with each passing generation. Meanwhile, the predators of the Cretaceous have grown sharper, faster, and deadlier. Tyrannosaurus rex emerges as a true apex hunter, with massive jaws capable of crushing bone, keen eyes able to detect movement from miles away, and legs built for sprinting across open plains. Smaller predators, like Velociraptor, hunt in packs, coordinating attacks with intelligence that surprises even the most cautious prey. This was a world where strategy mattered, where survival depended not only on strength, but also on cunning and adaptability. The oceans continue to teem with monstrous reptiles. Mosasaurs dominate as apex marine predators, slicing through waves with powerful tails. Plesiosaurs still glide elegantly through the water, while ancient turtles and giant fish navigate the same seas, each species competing for its place in the underwater hierarchy. Some mosasaurs reach lengths longer than a school bus, their jaws snapping through schools of fish or even smaller marine reptiles. Coral reefs and shallow seas teem with life, and the dance between predator and prey continues beneath the surface as fiercely as it does on land. In the skies, pterosaurs remain masters, though new species evolve with wingspans wider than any previously seen. Some specialize in fishing, skimming the surface of rivers and seas to catch unsuspecting prey. Others hunt in the skies, swooping down upon land creatures, or scavenging carrion left by larger predators. Their presence adds tension to every scene. A predator might lurk overhead, while another hunts in the water, and the dinosaurs below must remain vigilant. The world has become a layered, intricate system where every action affects another, and every creature must navigate this web of survival. During the Cretaceous, ecosystems reached levels of complexity never before seen. Insects pollinate flowers, small mammals scurry in shadows, and giant reptiles rule the land, sea, and sky. The land is no longer dominated by a single species or group. Diversity is everywhere. New adaptations arise with each generation: sharper teeth, stronger limbs, armored hides, and clever strategies to find food or avoid predators. Every creature is part of an intricate balance that has taken millions of years to achieve. Yet, even as this age of abundance thrives, the Earth begins to whisper the first warnings of change. Volcanic activity increases in certain regions, spreading ash and altering climates. Sea levels fluctuate, reshaping coastlines and creating new islands. The atmosphere carries both warmth and moisture in patterns unfamiliar to any living creature, slowly pushing some species to adapt, move, or perish. The very stage upon which these giants play is itself alive, reshaping and testing every organism in ways subtle yet profound. As night falls over the Cretaceous, the world slows. The herds of herbivores gather in protective clusters, keeping their young close. Predators rest, muscles twitching in anticipation of tomorrow's hunt. Pterosaurs fold their massive wings on cliff edges, watching the stars as they blink silently above. Beneath the water, marine reptiles drift in shadowy depths, their eyes catching the faint glimmer of bioluminescent creatures. Every corner of this world holds life, yet also tension, mystery, and danger. Take a deep breath, listener, and allow your mind to wander through these forests, plains, oceans, and skies. Feel the slow pulse of an Earth alive with creatures vast and small. Let the sights, sounds, and rhythms of the Cretaceous guide you into a deeper calm, as we prepare to continue our journey toward the dramatic final days of the Age of Giants, where the Earth itself will change in ways that no living creature could anticipate. Walking through a forest where the giants have grown silent, where the footsteps that once shook the ground are now fewer and farther between. The Cretaceous world, alive with color, movement, and sound for millions of years, is beginning to show signs of change. This is the twilight of the Age of Giants, a time when the Earth begins to whisper warnings that no creature can fully understand. The forests, Oceans and skies are still magnificent, still teeming with life, but subtle shadows are stretching across the land, foreshadowing the greatest transformation in the history of life on this planet. On land, the dinosaurs continue to thrive, but their world is becoming more challenging. Volcanic activity increases, sending plumes of ash into the atmosphere and altering climates across continents. Forests that once grew unchecked now face floods, fires, and storms that sweep through valleys and plains. Rivers shift, drying in some regions while overflowing in others. The once predictable patterns of rain and sun are becoming irregular, forcing herbivores like Triceratops and Hadrosaurus to adapt or move. The very plants they feed on are changing, evolving faster than the slow giants can adjust. Predators, too, feel the shift. Tyrannosaurus rex, one of the most formidable hunters of all time, roams increasingly fragmented landscapes in search of prey. Smaller predators, such as Velociraptor, must adapt their hunting strategies as food becomes less predictable. Even creatures of the sky and sea are not immune. Pterosaurs glide over shifting coastlines, searching for fish that are moving to new waters. Marine reptiles navigate oceans altered by changes in sea level and temperature. Everywhere, life is in motion, responding to forces beyond the control of any creature. The subtle signs of extinction are everywhere, though no living being fully perceives them. Populations of some species shrink, while others expand into niches previously unoccupied. A volcanic eruption may wipe out a small valley, leaving only the strongest or the luckiest to survive. A predator may fail to find prey for weeks, forcing it to migrate into unfamiliar lands. Life remains abundant, but the rhythm of stability that once defined the Jurassic and early Cretaceous is beginning to falter. Change is the only certainty, and even the giants cannot escape it. In the forests, the trees themselves tell a story of transformation. Flowering plants, once rare, now dominate landscapes, changing the diet of herbivorous dinosaurs and attracting new insects. Ferns and cycads still carpet the ground, but their distribution shifts with every storm and flood. The landscape is dynamic, unpredictable, alive in ways that can overwhelm even the largest creatures. Sauropods stretch their necks toward the treetops, yet some of the tallest species find that the trees they once fed on are no longer abundant. Survival demands adaptation, ingenuity, and sometimes sheer luck. In the oceans, predators face similar challenges. Mosasaurs and plesiosaurs must navigate currents altered by tectonic shifts, seek prey in waters that rise and fall unpredictably, and compete with new species evolving rapidly. Coral reefs change with temperature and acidity, forcing marine life to adjust or perish. Every movement in the water carries risk. Every hunt is uncertain. Even in this vast liquid world, the ancient balance is being tested, and only the adaptable can continue to thrive. The skies, too, are filled with tension. Pterosaurs glide across turbulent winds, their wings catching currents that shift without warning. The creatures they hunt are moving in new patterns. Eggs and hatchlings face threats from both predators and environmental shifts. Life in the air, as in the water and on land, is no longer guaranteed. Survival depends on timing, observation, and the subtle instincts honed over millions of years. Despite these challenges, life persists. Giants roam, hunt, and feed. Birds and small mammals, long overshadowed by dinosaurs, begin to explore new ecological niches. Insects and flowering plants continue to flourish, creating complex food webs that link every part of the environment. The world is vibrant, yet fragile, a delicate balance on the edge of monumental change. Nightfall descends upon this ancient earth. Dinosaurs settle in protective clusters, guarding young and resting in shadowed forests. Predators lie quietly, muscles coiled for tomorrow's hunt. Pterosaurs fold their massive wings atop cliffs, eyes scanning the horizon for movement. Marine reptiles drift beneath calm waves, sensing subtle shifts in currents. The earth itself seems to hold its breath, waiting for forces that no creature can control. Take a deep breath and imagine this twilight world, where the giants are still magnificent, yet increasingly aware of subtle dangers. Picture the forests, oceans, and skies alive but restless. Feel the tension of a world that has thrived for millions of years, but now edges toward uncertainty. Let this sense of calm vigilance guide you into a deeper state of focus and relaxation, ready to continue the journey through the final chapters of the Age of Giants, where history, survival, and change will converge in ways both dramatic and unforgettable, where continents drift apart, oceans expand, and the very shape of the Earth reshapes itself beneath the feet of giants. By the mid-Cretaceous, the planet has undergone remarkable changes. The landmasses that were once united as Pangaea have slowly separated into continents resembling the modern world, yet still young, raw, and filled with unfamiliar landscapes. This continental drift is more than a geographical shift. It is a driver of evolution, forcing creatures of every size, shape, and skill to adapt to new environments, new predators, and new challenges. The dinosaurs continue to reign on land, but their world is no longer uniform. Vast inland seas divide continents, creating isolated regions where new species evolve in unique ways. In North America, forests of towering conifers give way to open plains, where herds of Hadrosaurus graze, their long tails swinging slowly behind them. In Asia, plateaus rise into rocky mountains, providing shelter for smaller, agile carnivores who hunt in packs, coordinating movements with precision. In Europe, islands dot the seas, each home to unique species of herbivores, predators, and flying reptiles, their evolution guided by isolation and necessity. Life is everywhere, yet each place tells a different story. Predators adapt to these new landscapes with remarkable ingenuity. Tyrannosaurs grow larger, their jaws more powerful, and their senses keener than ever. Smaller hunters, such as Dromaeosaurus, exploit speed and intelligence, coordinating in packs to overcome prey much larger than themselves. Ambush strategies, pack hunting, and even seasonal migration define the behavior of these predators. On land, herbivores respond in kind. Ceratopsians develop elaborate frills and horns, ankylosaurs build armored shields, and hadrosaurs rely on large herds for protection. Every species evolves with subtle differences depending on the terrain and climate they inhabit. The oceans too experience remarkable transformation. Shallow seas stretch across continents, forming new ecosystems. Mosasaurs dominate deep waters, preying on fish, turtles, and smaller marine reptiles. Pliosaurs patrol coastal regions, their powerful jaws slicing through water with precision. Meanwhile, smaller creatures flourish in coral-rich shallows, creating complex food webs that sustain larger predators. Life in the water becomes more specialized, more efficient, and more competitive, as species adapt to changing currents, tides, and food availability. Survival in these seas requires speed, intelligence, and adaptability. In the skies, flying reptiles evolve into a stunning variety of forms. Some specialize in long-distance hunting, gliding from one coastal cliff to another in search of fish. Others, smaller and nimbler, hunt insects or scavenge carcasses left behind by predators on land. The air is filled with motion, from the silent sweep of enormous wings to the rapid flutter of tiny pterosaur species navigating the dense forests. The skies, oceans, and land are interconnected in an intricate dance of life, each layer influencing the others, creating a complex and ever-changing ecosystem. Vegetation also plays a crucial role in this great divide. Flowering plants, now abundant, create new sources of food for herbivores and attract insects, which in turn support small mammals and birds. Ferns and cycads remain abundant in shaded areas, while conifer forests dominate uplands and hills. This variety of plant life allows species to specialize, adapt, and flourish in ways previously unseen. The diversity of vegetation mirrors the diversity of life that roams the land, swims in the water, and glides through the air. Climate continues to change. Temperatures fluctuate, and storms grow more intense. Volcanic activity shapes entire regions, creating fertile soils in some areas and barren landscapes in others. Droughts and floods alternate unpredictably, testing the resilience of every species. In such a world, survival depends not only on strength, but also on the ability to adapt to constantly shifting conditions. The giants have ruled for millions of years, but now their reign is shaped by forces beyond their control. Despite the challenges, life is astonishingly abundant. Large herbivores migrate across plains and valleys in search of food. Predators stalk and ambush, flying reptiles patrol the skies, and marine reptiles glide beneath sunlit waves. Small mammals scurry in shadowed forests, insects buzz among flowers, and the earth hums with a rhythm of life that has persisted for millions of years. Yet the undercurrent of change is always present. Adaptation is not optional, it is survival. As night falls over this divided world, the giants settle. Herds of herbivores gather protectively, keeping their young close. Predators rest in hidden dens, ready for the next hunt. Flying reptiles perch silently on cliffs, scanning the horizon with sharp eyes. In the oceans, marine predators drift, alert to every movement above and below. The earth itself seems to pause for a moment, holding its breath before the next wave of change sweeps across land, sea, and sky. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to imagine the vastness of this divided world. Picture continents shifting, seas expanding, forests growing tall, and mountains rising. Feel the tension and beauty of a planet in motion, alive with creatures great and small, each struggling to survive in an ever-changing environment. Let the rhythm of this world guide you deeper into calm reflection, ready to continue the journey through the Age of Giants as the story moves toward its dramatic conclusion. Millions of years, yet feels somehow fragile, as though every shadow holds a hint of uncertainty. The Cretaceous period is approaching its end, and the giants of the earth, rulers of land, sky, and sea, continue their lives unaware of the monumental changes awaiting them. Forests are lush, rivers meander through fertile plains, and the oceans teem with enormous creatures, yet subtle shifts ripple through every corner of the planet, hinting at a story that will soon reshape life itself. The continents are in motion, drifting steadily toward their modern positions. Sea levels rise and fall with increasing irregularity, flooding coastal plains one season, then retreating to expose new land the next. Vast inland seas act as both corridors and barriers, isolating populations and encouraging evolutionary divergence. In these isolated lands, dinosaurs evolve unique traits. Ceratopsians grow larger horns and frills, ankylosaurs develop heavier armor, and hadrosaurs specialize in specific vegetation. Evolution continues, relentless and patient, shaping creatures in response to a planet in flux. Predators, too, are changing. Tyrannosaurus rex has become one of the most formidable hunters ever to walk the earth. Yet even it must contend with scarcity. Prey is no longer as abundant as it once was, and younger tyrannosaurs face challenges surviving long enough to grow into the massive adults capable of dominating the land. Smaller predators like Velociraptor, Dromaeosaurus, and their relatives refine their pack strategies, relying on cooperation, cunning, and timing to secure meals. Each hunt is calculated, every step critical, for the stakes have grown higher in a world that is slowly tipping toward instability. The oceans, long home to plesiosaurs, mosasaurs, and other marine reptiles, show early signs of imbalance. Currents shift as tectonic activity reshapes seafloors. Marine vegetation changes, affecting the distribution of fish, squid, and smaller prey species. Even the largest marine reptiles, once confident rulers of their domain, now navigate waters that are unpredictable and sometimes treacherous. In these seas, adaptability is as critical as strength, and the subtle pressures of environmental change begin to influence survival. The skies, too, carry warnings. Pterosaurs, once plentiful and diverse, face shrinking resources as prey populations fluctuate. Some species vanish from regions where they once thrived, leaving open niches for those able to adapt. The air is no longer filled with the same abundance of motion and sound. Subtle silences appear between glides and dives. Birds, the earliest of their kind, remain small, hiding in forest shadows, quietly preparing for a world where they may inherit niches left vacant by their larger relatives. Vegetation, the foundation of life on land, is also changing. Flowering plants have spread widely, outcompeting some ancient ferns and cycads. Forest composition shifts, altering the availability of food for herbivorous dinosaurs. Giant sauropods must migrate farther, often into unfamiliar territories, to find sufficient foliage. Herds of ceratopsians and hadrosaurs adapt by changing migratory routes, modifying feeding habits, and learning to coexist with new environmental pressures. Every season brings uncertainty, every storm tests endurance, and every day demands survival in a changing world. Despite these pressures, the giants continue their routines with remarkable persistence. Sauropods stretch their long necks toward treetops, feeding in silence. Ceratopsians graze in herds, alert to the distant rumble of predators. Theropods patrol plains and forests, calculating the risks of every hunt. Pterosaurs glide silently overhead, eyes sharp and wings poised for sudden dives. In the oceans, mosasaurs and plesiosaurs navigate vast waters, hunting, drifting, and adapting to shifting tides. Life persists, vibrant yet tense, magnificent yet subtly imperiled. Signs of stress are present, but imperceptible to the creatures themselves. Populations begin to shrink in some regions. Isolated species face extinction pressures, and the interconnected web of life shows early signs of strain. Yet to the dinosaurs, the world feels as abundant and powerful as it always has. They continue, as they have for millions of years, unaware that the forces reshaping the planet will soon bring their reign to a dramatic, irreversible end. As night falls over the Cretaceous landscape, silence deepens. The herds gather protectively around their young. Predators rest, alert to every sound, every movement. Pterosaurs fold their wings on cliffs, scanning the horizon with unblinking eyes. Marine reptiles drift beneath moonlit waves, muscles relaxed but ready. The earth itself seems to hold its breath, sensing change before its creatures do. A quiet tension hangs over the land, the sea, and the sky, as though the planet itself is preparing for a new chapter in its story. Take a deep breath and allow this ancient world to unfold in your imagination. Picture lush forests, teeming oceans, and skies filled with motion. Feel the subtle tension in the air, the anticipation in the footsteps of giants, and the silent rhythm of a world on the brink of transformation. Let this calm yet suspenseful atmosphere guide you into a deeper sense of wonder and relaxation, ready to continue toward the dramatic conclusion of the Age of Giants, a world of enormous forests, roaring rivers, and oceans alive with massive creatures, where the air is thick with the wings of pterosaurs and the ground trembles under the footsteps of giants. Yet even the mightiest rulers of Earth are not immune to the subtle forces of change. As the Cretaceous period draws to a close, the Age of Giants begins its final chapter, and the world itself seems to tremble in anticipation of a dramatic transformation that will leave no corner untouched. The continents continue their slow drift, reshaping coastlines, creating new islands, and altering climate patterns across the globe. Inland seas shrink and expand unpredictably, changing habitats and forcing creatures to migrate, adapt, or perish. Forests, once steady and abundant, experience irregular rainfall, floods, and occasional droughts. Even the mighty sauropods, whose immense size once guaranteed their dominance, must now traverse vast distances in search of sufficient foliage. Every season becomes a test, every day a challenge to survive in a planet that is becoming increasingly unpredictable. Predators respond to these changes with heightened intensity. Tyrannosaurus rex, already an apex hunter, must contend with shifting prey populations and increasingly harsh landscapes. Smaller predators, like Velociraptor and Dromaeosaurus, exploit agility, intelligence, and teamwork more than ever before. Ambushes become common, hunts more calculated, as the pressure to secure food grows. Life is still abundant, yet the balance that allowed these creatures to dominate for millions of years is beginning to falter. The oceans, vast and powerful, are also in flux. Mosasaurs glide through waters whose temperatures fluctuate unpredictably, hunting fish, squid, and other marine reptiles that migrate in response to environmental shifts. Plesiosaurs and smaller predators adapt to these changes, seeking safe nesting grounds and optimal hunting zones. Currents are altered by tectonic movements and volcanic activity, affecting the distribution of life throughout the seas. The ocean, once a vast and stable playground, becomes a world of challenge and survival. In the skies, pterosaurs navigate turbulent winds and changing prey availability. Some species vanish from regions where they had once thrived. Others adapt by traveling farther, hunting differently, and competing more fiercely. Early birds, still small and shadowed by their larger cousins, quietly explore new niches, finding opportunities in a world that is slowly losing its giants. The skies, oceans, and land are interconnected as never before, every change on one layer influencing survival across all others. The subtle signs of impending disaster grow more pronounced. Volcanic activity increases in intensity, releasing clouds of ash and gases into the atmosphere. Earthquakes and tectonic shifts become more frequent, altering landscapes, blocking rivers, and creating new valleys and basins. Forests suffer, herbivores struggle, and the intricate web of life that has sustained the dinosaurs for millions of years shows cracks. Adaptation is no longer enough. The world is being reshaped faster than evolution can keep pace. Even as the giants sense these changes, they continue their routines. Sauropods graze in herds, stretching their necks to reach the tallest trees. Ceratopsians forage cautiously, constantly scanning for predators. Theropods hunt with renewed focus, aware that every meal could determine survival. Pterosaurs glide silently above, eyes sharp for signs of opportunity. In the oceans, mosasaurs and plesiosaurs navigate waters that have grown treacherous, ever vigilant for both prey and danger. Life continues, magnificent yet precarious, beautiful yet fragile. Night falls over this ancient world with a strange stillness. The herds of herbivores gather together for protection, their large bodies forming shields for the young and vulnerable. Predators rest quietly in hidden dens, muscles coiled for sudden action. Pterosaurs fold their wings atop cliffs, scanning the horizon with sharp, unblinking eyes. In the oceans, marine reptiles drift beneath moonlit waves, alert to subtle changes in currents and prey movement. The Earth itself seems to pause, as though holding its breath for an event that no living creature can anticipate. Take a deep breath and let your imagination wander through this twilight world. Picture the forests, plains, oceans, and skies alive yet tense, each creature alert yet unaware of the monumental forces approaching. Feel the rhythm of life, fragile but persistent, and let the slow, deliberate movements of giants guide you into a state of calm reflection. The Age of Giants is nearing its end, yet its story, its majesty, and its lessons echo through time, preparing the world for the next chapter of life. Imagine a world that has endured for millions of years, a land of immense forests, roaring rivers, and oceans filled with enormous creatures. The Age of Giants, the reign of dinosaurs over land, sea, and sky, is coming to its final moments. The Earth itself is alive with change, slowly reshaping continents, climates, and ecosystems in ways that no creature can fully perceive. Yet even in the shadow of such monumental transformation, life persists, resilient and remarkable, poised on the threshold of a new beginning. The final days of the Cretaceous are marked by subtle but relentless upheaval. Volcanic eruptions release clouds of ash and gases into the atmosphere, altering sunlight and affecting climate patterns across continents. Rising and falling sea levels flood coastal plains and expose new lands, creating both opportunity and danger for every living creature. Forests, once dense and seemingly eternal, are fragmented by storms, floods, and lava flows. The mighty sauropods traverse these changing landscapes, stretching their necks toward the treetops, yet finding their food sources increasingly scattered. Ceratopsians, ankylosaurs, and hadrosaurs adapt by shifting migratory patterns, seeking fertile regions, and staying alert to the ever-present threat of predators. Predators, too, navigate this transforming world with heightened intensity. Tyrannosaurus rex, the apex hunter, roams fragmented plains and river valleys, using its immense strength and keen senses to locate scarce prey. Smaller predators, like Velociraptor and Dromaeosaurus, rely on intelligence, speed, and cooperation to survive in environments increasingly unfamiliar and unpredictable. Ambushes, coordinated hunts, and calculated risks become essential strategies, reflecting a world where survival demands both cunning and strength. Every day carries uncertainty, and every moment matters. The oceans, once vast and stable, are also in flux. Mosasaurs patrol waters that shift with changing tides and currents, hunting fish, squid, and smaller marine reptiles. Plesiosaurs and smaller marine species adapt to fluctuations in temperature and food availability. Coral reefs experience stress from volcanic activity and fluctuating seas, altering the distribution of marine life. Even the largest predators of the sea, who once ruled unchallenged, now navigate an increasingly unpredictable and fragile environment. Survival depends not only on strength, but on adaptability, on the ability to sense and respond to forces beyond immediate control. The skies carry echoes of change as well. Pterosaurs glide across turbulent winds, searching for prey that moves in unpredictable patterns. Some species vanish from regions where they once thrived, while others adapt by migrating farther and hunting differently. The earliest birds, still small and elusive, explore new niches in forested landscapes, quietly preparing to inherit spaces left by their larger relatives. The air, once filled with countless wings, becomes a stage of tension and adaptation, reflecting the growing challenges across every realm of life. Flowering plants dominate landscapes, reshaping diets for herbivorous dinosaurs and providing new food sources for insects. Ferns and cycads persist in shaded regions, but their distribution shifts with every storm and flood. The diversity of vegetation mirrors the diversity of life, yet also imposes new pressures. Sauropods and other herbivores must migrate farther, adapt faster, and coexist with predators in ways previously unnecessary. Every season tests endurance, every storm challenges survival, and every day demands vigilance. Despite the mounting pressures, the giants continue their routines with remarkable persistence. Sauropods graze silently in herds, stretching toward treetops. Ceratopsians forage protectively, ever watchful of predators. Theropods stalk and hunt with calculated precision. Pterosaurs glide above cliffs and coastal waters, scanning for opportunities. Marine reptiles drift through the oceans, alert to changes in currents and prey movement. Life persists, magnificent yet fragile, resilient yet aware that the world is shifting around it in ways that cannot be resisted. Then comes the final cataclysmic change. A massive impact, sudden and unimaginable, strikes the Earth, releasing fire, smoke, and devastation across continents. Volcanic activity and shifting climates compound the effects, creating a cascade of challenges that no living creature can overcome. For the dinosaurs, the masters of land, sea, and sky, this marks the end of their reign. The herds scatter, the predators falter, the oceans roar with turmoil, and the skies darken. Life, for a brief moment, is transformed on a scale unprecedented in history. Yet even in this cataclysm, life endures. Small mammals, early birds, insects, and plants survive the upheaval, hidden in burrows, in trees, in shadows, and in oceans. These survivors will inherit the Earth, gradually reshaping it into new forms and ecosystems. The giants pass into memory, leaving fossilized traces, bones buried in rock, and stories whispered across millennia. The Age of Giants concludes, not with silence, but with the promise of a new dawn, a world ready to be shaped by those that endure. Take a deep breath, dear listener, and imagine the Earth awakening after unimaginable change. Visualize lush forests slowly regrowing, rivers flowing through transformed landscapes, oceans teeming with new forms of life, and the skies gradually filling with birds and other survivors. Feel the sense of renewal, the quiet persistence of life, and the calm rhythm of a planet that continues to thrive despite upheaval. The age of giants has ended, yet its legacy persists, etched in stone, memory, and imagination, guiding the story of life toward new horizons.